What's up, everybody? Michael Johnson here with Backstage Choreo Live, and I'm excited that I get to be here today with you. Whenever it is that you're watching this, whether you're joining me live or whether you're watching the replay. And I know for some of you, you watch these on the replays because I go on at random times and I haven't given you any sort of schedule at all, which is cool. And that's just how I roll. And maybe we'll think about doing a set time in the future. But for now, I just like jumping on and being able to share this great information with you and be able to get you moving with some incredible systems. If you've been following the Backstage Choreo Live streams that we've been talking a lot about systems. So if you're jumping onto this and you might be catching me for the first time, if you're not into talking about business systems and or systems that you can use to take your life and your business to the next level, then you are in the wrong place. You're welcome to leave, unsubscribe, unfollow, unlike, whatever you got to do, but this is not your place. But for the rest of you that are into actually improving your business, taking your business to the next level, finding ways to use systems and improve your systems so that you can make more revenue, gain back some more time, and clear up some of the chaos that might be going on in your life or in your business, then this is the right place. And today, we're jumping into a fun topic, one of the topics that I love talking about. Now, of course, you know I love talking about systems, and I say this a lot. So sorry about that. Yeah, but you know, that's just kind of how it is. So we've been talking about the Essential 7 Systems framework, and we went through and talked about all 7 of them, I think, thus far, and really dug into building some of the basic elements and systems out for the Essential 7 systems that you need in your business. And each of those systems were sort of the basic system. Now, I bet you that you probably were missing some. And that's okay. That's just a wake-up call that you need to go and get those implemented into your business. Whether you're a small business or whether you're a corporation, it doesn't matter. You need these systems in your business, and you need to continually refine them, which is actually part of the Meta 4 Systems framework. Today, we are actually jumping into the Meta 4 Systems framework, and we're going to be talking about one of them, one of the 4. And it's a fun one to talk about because if you've had any involvement in sports at all, then team is a big deal, right? And team is something that's important, whether you've played on, hopefully you had an opportunity or a chance to play in a team sport. If you didn't, that's okay. There's lots of team scenarios that you have probably been involved in, whether it was in your first job or whether it was, you know, in a orchestra. Doesn't matter whether they call it an orchestra, but you guys are still a team producing this really incredible result. So there's teams in a lot of different settings, but today we're going to be talking about a system that you could implement into your team. Now, if you don't have a team, hang out. You might learn something anyway, you know, and hopefully you have some fun with me. But this is obviously geared towards those people that have a team. And a team could be anything from a couple people to thousands. Doesn't matter how big your team is. It just matters that this is an important one. This is one of my favorite ones to implement when it comes to having multiple departments and staff members that are part of the team that you have to serve your clients. Now, the first thing I want to share with you about this system is that it stemmed from something I learned. I mean, it was decades ago, and it's a concept that's been around for a long time. And so I want to share that with you specifically. So let's jump in here. Obviously, we're on the Business Choreography Systems board, and you know, I like to build here. I've got all my tools and pieces and parts. So we're just going to actually jump in to this piece right here. It's called Kaizen. And Kaizen is a concept I learned literally decades ago, and I wanted to just share it with you. You could Google this as well, but I just figured I'd jump in and share it with you. Kaizen is a philosophy focused on small incremental adjustments across all levels of an organization or your personal life, leading to significant long-term results by involving everyone in making daily improvements, eliminating waste, and questioning the status quo. It's a low cost, low risk approach, emphasizing teamwork and continuous refinement over drastic overhauls, this was famously implemented by Toyota to achieve global success. Now, I don't believe, I believe they made, Kaizen is a Japanese word, but I believe they made it up based off of some education that they got from somebody else. We won't go too far into the history of that, but the idea there was brought to him, I think, from an American that was going out trying to help Toyota improve their systems, and they took it to heart and they created Kaizen, right? It's never ending improvement, always trying to get better, always trying to optimize, always trying to find a better way. And when I learned about this ages ago, I started to take it to heart and put it into effect in my own world and in my own personal life. And then later on, I was COO of a software company. We were about 150, 200 people, and I made it part of our company culture. And I made it part of what it was that we did and how we were and what we were. And so what I want to share with you today is a system. It's a team system that you can use to improve your company culture. It can be used to improve your team. And so we're going to jump into that right now. So I've got that already kind of pre-set up for you so that you didn't have to wait and see me type as much. Sometimes I do that. It depends on how much time I have to prep prior to these lives. But today I had a little extra time to get going on at least typing this out so you didn't have to watch me type poorly. So this is a basic Kaizen system. There's lots of ways that you could do this and implement it, but this is something I know works. This is something I know that if you implemented right away, it would make a massive difference in your business. This is something that I've implemented myself and had other people implement as well. I've implemented across multiple departments in different areas, from customer support to development to even in the C-suite. So there's lots of ways that you can apply this, but if you can actually, if you can actually put this to work inside your whole company, this will make such a big difference. All right. So, I love to talk about this anatomy of a system, and that's the Alpha System Framework. If you haven't gone and downloaded the Alpha System Frameworks, this is the framework. Just the image of the framework. Go get it. You can get it at, where is that? That is at systemsforexperts.com/ASF, Alpha Systems Framework. So you can get that at systemsforexperts.com/ASF, and you can download it for free and have the graphic, and you can have the lesson, the PDF that goes with it, and there's a masterclass that goes with it where we dig in deep. But I love talking about a well-formed system, and a well-formed system has a trigger, process, and outcome and proof. And so we're going to jump in here, and that's kind of what we did is build this cool little basic system for you to go and implement. And I say little, and I mean little in terms of it's not hard for you to implement. It's not hard for you to go and take this and do something with it right away. And hopefully by the time we're done talking about it, you'll think to yourself, gosh, yeah, I should go and put that into play, because this really, really makes a difference. If you want something that will really supercharge your business, if you have a team, this will do it. This will do it. And it'll take a little bit of, unless you guys are already in the mindset of this, it'll take a little bit of effort and focus to make the culture shift. But once you do, the value is immense. So we're going to just dig in here to this first piece, which is the trigger. Well, actually, no, let's go over here to the outcome, just so that we understand where we're headed towards. So the outcome of this Kaizen system is that we want a culture of optimization for the greater whole. And we want to position and role. We want the position and role to continue to improve and adapt as your company grows. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the hires that you make, right? So you have different people that you hired, and that you will have to replace and hire again and put into a position of executing something. And when you do, we want that position and role to continue to improve and adapt as your company continues to grow. Well, this is rough. And what a lot of times happens for businesses is they hire, then the company starts to grow, and then the person they hired is no longer good for that company to grow. And so then they end up weeding that person out, and then they hire, and then that person is really good for here. And then as the company grows, they can't keep keeping them. So they keep having this massive turnover. And in some instances that is necessary, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? There's just sometimes you outgrow your team members. And you know, the team members, the workers in the business, they don't like that. But if they're not going to grow and improve and optimize, then it's understandable. And they have to understand that that's just part of what happens when a business grows. Now, what this will do is this will help you to lower that churn of your employees, that turnover, and it will help them to continue to innovate with you and for you and be part of the team. So what we want to do is we want to be focused on optimization. This is rough when you have hourly employees that aren't on salary. And salary employees are also hard to hire because sometimes they're used to being on hourly. And so hiring an hourly person to be in salary, unless they're the right type of person, can be really, really hard. If you have a manager, or if you have a C-suite executive that is used to having hourly employees, and you give them a bunch of salary employees, things tend to deteriorate quickly because they're used to operating off of hourly, and so they expect people to act and operate differently. Now, vice versa is especially true. If you give a bunch of hourly employees to a salary oriented manager or executive to manage and run, then they get confused, because if they're used to having salary employees and they're not used to having hourly employees, they don't understand why their employees that are now acting weird are like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, I'm out, and they turn off and they're gone and they leave. And the salary guy's going, what do you mean you're on salary? No, you're not done. What do you mean you're gonna just put it down and walk away? That's just not how salary people operate. That's not how they live in their brain. So I say all that so that we can get back to this place where we can talk about this Kaizen system. And it does work for both hourly and salary. So it does have some great roots in both, and it can be adapted for both. So what would be a good trigger for this system? So let's start with that. The trigger would be after a new hire, and this is if you're going to implement it slowly. If you're doing it all at once, then there's some slightly different approaches. But generally speaking, after you have a new hire, and you teach them their responsibilities, right? Because they typically have to go through a training and learn the responsibilities and understand what they are expected to do and produce. And we want to do this system before they get comfortable. And that's because we want to get them in that space where it's like, okay, you learned how to do it, you've started to do it, you don't know how to do it well enough yet that you're comfortable, and you forget what could be optimized. This is great to do when you're in a transition from an old employee that is left, or you had to phase out, and getting somebody new in. This is a really great system for that. So the process here is we're going to have them teach you what they know about their role. So remember, this is the trigger. After they know their responsibilities, they know what to do, they're kind of doing it. Now we want to have them teach you their role. Okay. And that sounds a little weird, but what we want them to do is we want them to lay out the steps to you the way they understand them doing it. Now, that's why you have to wait until they know their responsibility and they can execute. But you have to, but they know it well enough that they can actually give you the steps. And I don't mean teach you as in you are a eighth grader and you're, or a toddler and they're teaching you how to do it. But I mean, like, they come back and they go, these are the steps. This is how we do what we're doing. And you're like, awesome. Okay. And it's not so that you can check up on them. And so then you have to really make sure you present this in a good way, right? You're not checking on them. You're not giving them a grade. You're just making sure they understand and know the steps. And then you immediately go into, what have you noticed that makes your role suck? Now, this is rough, but if you've hired well, it's not so bad. Because if you've hired well, you have somebody that will actually talk to you, and you have opened the door and let them know that you're going to be looking for this, right? So you ask them, what have you noticed about these steps that makes your role suck? I want to know, because together we can figure out how to do that, and or we might agree that, yeah, that part sucks, and we haven't yet figured out how to make it not suck, okay? And so then you're also going to find out what major things they do that need adjustment. And so there's something major in the set of responsibilities that they have that they think and believe need major adjustment. Okay. And so that's where you're going to be talking to them and working with them on this. And you notice this is right in that little sweet spot. They've already been in, they've already been trained, they've already been executing it, but they're not quite 100% comfortable with it. And you're trying to grab it right in there. And you're trying to say, okay, the next thing is, what minor things could ultimately turn into major things if they're not addressed by you two together and trying to make this a better thing. Right? So you want to find out what those minor things are. And they will know some of these things better than you, because the likelihood is you are not up to speed on doing their thing, whatever their role is, whatever their thing is. And so it's important that you start to get those things and figure out a way for you to document with them what those minor things could be that will ultimately turn into major things if you don't address them. Okay. Next up in the process is you want to promote their ownership of their position. And the way you do that, part of this process that you're going through with them and doing with them, part of the process is literally to promote them owning their position. And you're going to let them know that you're going to do this on a regular basis. Like, this isn't just a one-time thing. This is we're going to get as much as we can out of this first system that we're running, and we're going to make some adjustments. We're going to figure out what can be changed and adapted and whatever, until we make some improvements. And then we're going to let you do it for a while, and then 5-6 months later, we're going to go back and we're going to go through this process again, now that you're intimately connected with this role. And we're going to do the same thing again. So this isn't just a one-time, oh no, if you don't have any ideas, we're out of luck, right? But they might not know what to do to fix it, but they might know what it is. And that's why you would want to collaborate with them as their senior. Okay. Now, lastly, what resources do they believe that they need that could make what they do better for the company, for the client, for you as their managing superior, and for themselves, right? And all of those things could need different resources. It could be that they need new software, or it could be that they need a better software. It could be that from their last role at another company that they know of a software that could make it better for the client or for the company or for the team as a whole. You want to be able to capitalize from their experience prior to coming to you, and you don't want to shut that down. You want to invite it for the optimization, because there's some really cool things you could create when you start to collaborate and mastermind that from all of the people doing their different roles in your system. And of course, the outcome that we're looking to achieve, right, is a culture of optimization for the greater whole, right? And again, we want that position and that role to continue to improve and adapt as your company grows. And it provides an early expectation of all team members that adaptation and optimization are things that are expected in their role, not just status quo. Status quo, I think there's an old saying: if you're not growing, you're dying. Right? So if you're not growing, you're dying. And in this particular instance, right, without optimization, if you are in a position, or if you're dealing with a team member in a position where they're just getting the job done, then you can essentially extrapolate that and forecast ahead that your business is dying. That role is dying. You've got to implement that and teach that to them and inspire them to understand that if you're not improving and adapting and optimizing your position, and it's not a continual thing to do, then your position is dying and your time will ultimately come to an end. And that changes the mentality a little bit, switches it on its head, because there are so many people that have maybe come from other positions where their mentality is, well, this is the role, this is what I have to get done. As soon as I'm done with it, I'm out. Peace. Right? And we want to fix that. Now, as part of a well-formed system, we need proof. And part of the proof that you need is you want to be able to see that you're creating a company culture of ownership and optimization. You want to be able to create some metrics that you or HR can track if you have an HR team. If not, it might just be you, and that's cool. But oftentimes, I don't want you to get too crazy on this tracking metric, but oftentimes a nice spreadsheet will do the trick. And it's like a little tally marks, right? And the upper management or the C-suite, whatever your team is comprised of, maybe just you, keeping an eye on everybody. You keep this little tally sheet, like a little spreadsheet, and you go, oh, look, they came to me with an idea. Oh, look, this person came with an idea. Oh, look, this person's trying to make that better. Oh, look, this person, and you just have some tally marks to just start paying attention. Now, I have a little warning here for you because I've seen this go awry. And the warning is, don't use this as a front-facing metric with your staff, because then this creates some backbiting and you didn't mark this, or you didn't see this, or maybe you didn't take the way that I was delivering that as me trying to optimize that. You took it poorly, or this or that. Don't use it front-facing with your staff. Use it for management or upper management to see how well they are projecting and creating the culture of optimization, this Kaizen mentality, right? And we want to track how well our management, whether that just be you or maybe your management team, is creating a culture of optimization, right? This Kaizen optimization, right? And you have to cultivate it. And that's why I say you wouldn't use it. You wouldn't ever show it to your staff. You would just use it with your management. And that's because it's used to calculate how well you're doing as a management team, as a leadership team, to induce this optimization amongst your team, right? So I think it's a really great idea. This is a really easy, basic system for improvement. And improvement isn't always sexy, and I know that. So I just kind of want to give that little bit of a disclaimer. Everybody wants the new thing, right? And if you're doing any kind of marketing is always great. Everybody in marketing wants to do the new thing, or sell the new thing, or sell the opportunity switch. And in marketing, that's great. But internally, in your own system, in your own company, you want to make sure that you're creating that culture of never-ending improvement, with the concept that if you're not growing, you are dying, right? And that's for every role in the company. And you probably have experienced this. If you've been in business for 3, 4, 5 years, or any amount of time at all, right? In 6 months and you have a team, doesn't matter. But if you've been in for 5 years, 10 years, you know what I'm talking about. There are certain positions and roles that have naturally phased themselves out, and you have maybe been put in the position where you've had to let go of a team member, an employee that you really liked. It was during their time and at the right place and time, they were really great. They were really good. But then it came time and you were like, we can't afford to keep them. We need somebody that has a different set of skills or that can help us with where we're going, and they no longer fit the bill. And a lot of that comes from them not continuing to improve in their role, in their position, and in the team culture. Some of that comes from you not creating the culture. And I think, back in the early 2000s, company culture became such a catch phrase. Everybody was talking about it. We were all studying Zappos and how cool their company culture was and what they were doing to change, how business is done internally, in-house. And as we all clamored and studied and watched and tried to implement the things that they did, ultimately, I think their company, I'm not sure if their company is even in business anymore. There are some challenges up top, but their company culture and their methodologies and their ideas really made a impact on the business world at large. And things like this that Toyota did, implementing this Kaizen culture, made such a big difference because it started to let people know that the internal workings of the team made it so that one of the things that we believe, right? And you maybe have seen this, when I talk about EEI, let me just scoop my face over here. When we talk about EEI down here at the bottom, I say the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that's adapted from Aristotle. Everybody thinks Aristotle said it. He kind of said something like that in his writings, but it wasn't, he didn't say that. It was just adapted from that. So really it's that idea, right? The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And how does that apply to this? Well, it applies because when we have team members, when we are leading a team, the whole ultimately needs to be greater than the sum of its parts, which means that the parts need to be able to, the parts meaning the team members, all the parts that make the whole work, have to actually be giving something greater than themselves. And in order to inspire that team to give something greater than themselves, you've got to implement a culture that allows them and encourages them to make that part of their role, not just getting the job done, not just getting from point A to point B and completing steps 1, 2, and 3, but getting the job done plus improving it, plus optimizing it, plus figuring out. A lot of team members know 3, 4, 5, 10 different ways that they can make your position, the thing that they're assigned to do, better, faster, more efficient, and they don't do it. And the reason they don't do it is because innately they go, well, if I do that, my position is going to go away. My job is going to go away. However, if you can encourage them to do it and encourage them that there is the next thing as it evolves, they will naturally move into the next position, the next role, the next thing that means that they can continue to stay with the company and continue to adapt. Then you're going to be in a really great place. This is a really cool team system. It's not too hard to implement. It does take a little bit of planning, a little bit of effort, but you can see, the well-formed system was not hard to talk about, and you could get into the weeds on it and how to implement it and all that kind of stuff, and that is true. But I wanted to make sure to bring this across to you. This is part of the meta for systems, right? And we talked about that initially, right? You've got the E7S framework, and now we are in the M4S framework, and we're talking about team choreography systems. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed that and got a lot from it. I'd love to hear if you've implemented this or if you've put this into practice, and I'd love to hear what you guys are up to with it. I appreciate the comments that some of you have sent me personally. That's awesome. If you haven't yet, come and join the Systems for Experts community. It's free. There's some cool courses in it. There's some great education and some stuff that we give you for free. And come and hang with us and make sure you get all of these live streams and the education that you need about systems, because we are your place. We are the place for you to get your systems and make them better. Make your infrastructure better. If you're not growing, you're dying. And that's it. And the quality of your systems is the quality of your life and of your business. So let's get the quality of your systems better. Let's upgrade your operating systems as an overall whole and help you get to the next level, whatever that is. Might be a revenue level, might be a culture level. It might be literally just getting back your time level. It might be getting rid of the chaos from the Frankenstein that you accidentally built. Doesn't matter. But let's get that there. And this is the place for you. So anyway, it's been fun as usual. Until next time, keep choreographing your systems. And we'll see you next time on Backstage Choreo Live. Take care. Peace out.